Francisco Lindor and team owner Steve Cohen got together for dinner last night as the extension deadline nears.
Okay.
Sources tell ESPN. There remains hope something will get done before the opening day deadline Lindor set would be for $300 million plus. So then someone pops in on Twitter, tags Steve Cohen, who is back on Twitter, if you had missed this, and says, "Is this true? What did you eat?" And Steve Cohen said the ravioli wasn't very good. And then someone said, "What did Francisco get?" And he wrote back, "Chicken parm." So he is now responding to people and what the dinner was about. And then he also was on Twitter saying, "What do you think Francisco would accept?" This is what he asked the fans. He goes, I'll read you the exact quote, exact tweet. "What do you think Lindor will accept? I'm going to crowdsource the answer."
That's funny.
Now, if you're Francisco Lindor, do you think it's funny?
Depending upon how the dinner went the other night, yes.
Okay.
If the dinner went as I think it might have, then you laugh, you move on, because at the end of the day, he's going to get $350 million probably.
Probably is right.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking, why does Steve Cohen want to have dinner with him? Because things aren't going well, is what I would think.
Maybe to iron things out, hear directly from the owner. Like, I think if I was the player, I'd be absolutely thrilled to go sit down with the owner, the guy that's writing the checks, and to be able to tell my side, hear from him, as opposed to this, go-between with the agent and the GM and the president. I think it's great. I would love that, actually.
Yeah, see, I don't know the answer to this, and the more I think about it, I think not every situation is the same. But I'm a little bit nervous for the Mets in a situation where the owner is getting involved in this way, and he's got a lot of money, and he likes the guy, and then all of a sudden he says, give him whatever the hell he wants. Like, that's what I think is going to happen here. There's a reason why you have agents and general managers negotiate. Because...
But let me ask you this. If I told you prior to this dinner that a deal came down, Francisco Lindor got, I forget the contract's different, but the same money as Fernando Tatis Jr. got. So, right, 10 years, $300 and something million dollars. What would you say?
I mean, I would say that that's about what he deserved.
Right. But now you feel a little different because they went out to dinner and you feel like he's just saying give him what he wants.
Well, I have to see what the deal is. Like, if it came back and it was bigger than the Mookie Betts deal, I would go, uh-oh.
Which would now remind me, that was 10 for $350? Does that sound right?
I got to get the exact one.
Because I think Tatis was $300 over 10. But there's also some fugaziness in that one because he signed with some company as a kid, and they get some of his money. It's a weird deal, the Tatis one.
But, gee, wasn't this the benefit of having Steve Cohen? Like, who cares? Just pay him whatever. That was the joy of it, having an owner like this.
I know he's going to give him a contract extension. I don't want him to hamstring the Mets for years and years and years because of the contract. Because the luxury tax threshold is something that all owners pay attention to.
Sure.
And Michael Conforto's got to be signed. Jacob deGrom might get another new deal. These are something that you need to pay attention to.
But if he's the richest guy in the world,
they still don't want to pay it, as evidenced by the Yankees, who are the richest organization in the world.
There's something about throwing money into nothing and then funding other teams.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're richer than them now.
But I'm telling you, smart businessmen don't want to do that stuff. They don't. So you can say that it's cheap or whatever. Just smart businessmen will go right up to the threshold and make sure they don't go over it, because then, you're right, you're funding other teams.
What was the Betts deal?
12 years, $365 million.
Okay. So if you told me 10 for $350, which is theoretically more, because annually it's more, it's 35 as opposed to 33 or 34 a year, that's, I think, what we all expected anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. I got to see the deal first.
Like, did you think when they got Francisco Lindor, you knew the situation. This is his last year. He needs a new deal. We have all discussed the fact that they're going to sign him. Now, maybe at the time, aside from Bryce Harper, I can't think of too many. The Trout one probably too, but there are not many 10-year deals out there. All of a sudden, that's become like very popular for a couple of these star players. Maybe we thought 7 years, 35 a year, but I don't think it's any different now than it was.
All right. I understand that point. I do need to see the deal. I just know that Steve Cohen is a diehard Mets fan. He's excited. Lindor was their biggest acquisition since he's been the owner. If you put any Mets fan at a dinner with Francisco Lindor, like Steve Cohen is, you're probably coming away at that dinner going, give him whatever he wants.
I agree. That's why if I'm the player, I love it.
Right. If you're the player, you love it. I just wonder if Sandy Alderson's going to, after that dinner, go, how did it go? Give him whatever he wants. All right.
Yeah.
Fine.
But he is the one that writes the check.
I get it. I want Lindor to be signed.
What would you?
They've got the leverage right now.
You're Steve Cohen. What would you give him? I forget what you would offer him. What do you think he's worth?
I don't want it to be bigger than the Mookie Betts deal. Okay. That's what I don't want.
In years or money?
Both. I don't want it to be, years are obviously a little dicey. And we've seen some really... By the way, did you see that Jed Lowry is going to be the starting second baseman for the Oakland A's?
It's amazing, isn't it?
That just popped in my head.
Guy couldn't even take batting practice here. I did see that, yes.
Anyway. I
thought his career was over.
Yeah, so did I. I didn't even know he could walk. Starting second baseman.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, both. I don't want him to have the biggest contract in baseball because the Mets don't have the leverage right now. They don't.
All right, so if I said 7 years... I can't believe I'm doing this, but whatever. 7 years, $260. You'd be okay with that?
Yeah, I'd be okay with that, I think. I'd have to do the breakdown. It's going to be in the $300 million range.
It has to be.
It's got to be in the $300
Because he turned that down from Cleveland?
Yeah.
So, again, you kind of knew where you were at when you got him.
I don't want it to be the highest paid player. It won't be. I think the Trout deal is even larger.
Listen, if it doesn't work out, just defer the money until 2083.
That's what I don't want to
do. And go Bobby
do.
Bonilla again.
I don't want to see that again.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of years. But unfortunately, it's the going rate for a superstar. Now, people will say, well, there's a big free agent class coming out next year. Just play it. And then you really want to do that, though? If you feel like you've got the franchise player?
I just think that the mentality that Eddie has, which is he's the richest owner in baseball.
Who?
It doesn't matter.
Oh, Eddie. I'm sorry.
The mentality that he has.
Hi.
Yeah. The guy you've been working with for your entire adult life.
Yes, I know. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah. So the mentality that Eddie has he's the richest man in baseball. It doesn't matter. Give him whatever he wants. And then Steve Cohen being a Mets fan and then going to dinner with him, I just don't want to come out of this with people saying, I know they had to keep Lindor, but my God.
I think if Francisco Lindor does what we expect him to do, I don't think it's going to matter.
Okay.
But now that puts pressure on him to actually be the player he's been and then some. Like I heard Eddie Coleman yesterday.
Yep. Hey, they're going to pay.
He and Sweeney were on, and they were. I guess Lindor was 17 for his last 32. He's playing a sparkling infield, as we know. Like, if that's the guy you get, sign him up. Let's go. You just better hope that that's the guy you get for 10 years.
Yeah. I've heard a caller call up that show and call Sweeney Schweeny.
Sweeney hasn't been around that long.
Hey, it's Ed and Schweeny. But that's actually Sweeney. It's not a Schween. It's not a Schweenus. All right. All right. The bigger disaster, obviously, would be Lindor not signing. So getting it done is a big deal.
Yeah.
It's just a big deal.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.